breaking cycles in your twin flame dynamic is challenging. So let's give you some grace, let's give you some mercy, let's give you some like compassion, because when you are practiced, well-versed in your behaviors and you meet your twin, it doesn't just change, right? So the change comes from when there's that heated moment where you have a choice, because we all have choices, where we are going to participate in the old way of being, or we begin to start to think differently, which then makes us act differently, which then we start to respond instead of react. And then we get to break these cycles that are built, they're structures in our neuroscience, like let's say on rainy days, something bad happened, I feel bad on a rainy day. To break that pattern is I gotta have to change on a rainy day, make it a good day, so that my body and my nervous system and my mind goes, okay, wait a second, it's okay to have a rainy day. It's the same with your dynamic with your twin flame. Okay, so let's say that you are an avoidant bonder, and when situations happen and it gets heated, you stonewall your partner. You take space without telling them that you're taking space and how long you're taking space. You cut them off, you don't call them, you go MIA, and you leave them wondering what is going on. Now that is very painful. I might even use the word abusive, because it really leaves the other person in a space where they don't know what's going on. Now I know this one well. I've had it happen to me, and I had it happen to me because I used to do it, okay? And now in my home, we have protocols for when I become a little avoidant or I want to disconnect, to where I am communicating, I need space. I need it for this long. I will then come back to you and we will have a conversation and we will make some sort of amends for what's going on. Okay. And so the more I do that, the more it becomes just part of my life. Okay. If you're an anxious bonder and you're very clingy, or you are confrontational because you're anxious, right? So you might start fights or be aggressive, or because you want to get a reaction out of your partner, instead of saying, hey, you hurt my feelings, like I'm feeling really disconnected from you. This is vulnerability, right? It's not easy to tell someone, hey, I really want your attention. I'm feeling pretty anxious right now. I'm feeling pretty vulnerable right now. It would be nice to have a conversation with you. Can we sit down? Can we talk? And so we start to break the patterns by doing something different. Okay. With that being said, you're going to fail a bunch. You're programmed. You're taught. You're versed. That's what you do. It's just like addiction. If I have a bad day, I would drink. If I had a good day, I would drink. I mean, basically, whatever the day was, I wanted to drink. But it was always an excuse to do that. So it was just set up in that way, where it's like, oh, too much emotion, I drink. Not enough emotion, I drink. You know, and so what I began to do was catch it when the feelings started to boil up. I started to catch it, and then I would take it to someone and be like, hey, I'm starting to bug out right now. I need to like process this. And I would start to process it and realize that I could work through my feelings, that I wasn't going to die and that was going to be okay. And then I did it over and over and over, and then began to be able to face my life instead of like running all the time, right? I used to disassociate from the trauma that I've gone through. And I didn't realize I was doing it. But when something would happen that would kind of trigger me, I would just zone out. I wouldn't be paying attention. And Dov would just be like, yo, or she doesn't snap in my face. But the energy was like, yo, where are you at? And so she brought that to my attention. And so then I was able to start to see when I would be in a coaching session and I'm talking to my mentor and we start talking about my father, I noticed that every time we talked about my father and my past, that I would begin to disassociate. I didn't want to face that part, all the trauma that came through, you know, someone who was very angry and aggressive. And I became angry and aggressive. I took that. I was like, let's run with the lineages, you know, curses, let's do it. Which is now what I'm breaking, right? So be easy on yourself. You're programmed. This is what you did. I wouldn't say this is what you do. This is what you did. And so now it's time that when it starts to come up and you do that thing that makes you feel gross in the pit of your stomach, We want to make it right. I was wrong. Baby, I was wrong. Like, I shouldn't have acted out like that. I shouldn't have screamed. I shouldn't have ran. I shouldn't have stonewalled you. I shouldn't have gaslit you. I shouldn't have... Whatever it is that you are doing, if you can begin to start catching it and you start to apologize for it, and you're making an effort to do something new so that you feel good, your partner feels yummy, that's how we start to break these patterns within the relationship and union, for any relationship for that matter. But I'm talking to y'all, twin flames. Come on now.